Hey guys, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a kind of interesting story to share with you, and I want to see how you guys would have handled this situation and see what you think of how I did it. Okay, so what happened? Let's start at the beginning here with my process of estimating. Typically on larger estimates, I go out, take a look at the job. By larger, I mean if you call me to replace your kitchen sink or pop in a new faucet or something like that, I'm not coming out to look at it. I'm just, send me a picture if you want to, if you think it'll affect things, but I can ballpark it on the phone, and then if I show up and it's dramatically different than that, we'll discuss it right up front. But this was a little bit larger than that. This was, this quote we're talking about today was 2 bathroom countertops, 2 bathroom sinks, 2 faucets, the connections for all that stuff, 2 toilet replacements, and a floor, subfloor replacement around a toilet that had failed on a second floor bathroom, and then also laying flooring in both bathrooms. So, slightly larger quote than, all that. So still very easy items to do. And I estimated it was going to take me right around, 19 hours or so with me and one helper to do everything on this bid. Oh, there was a 3rd sink replacement downstairs as well. So anyway, that's kind of the scope of work, and you're going to see it here on the quote here in a second. So when I went over, looked at the job, wrote everything up, went back. I use Joist for everything. I know a lot of you guys do as well, and there's a lot of other things, Mark8 and everything else, but Joist has just treated me well. Even when they started charging, I just pay it and move on. Anyway, I have all my products pretty well programmed into Joist at this point, so it's very difficult for me to switch what I'm using because of that. If I type in I need a sheet of this or a sink like this or whatever, it's already in the app with my local pricing that I update regularly, especially lately on lumber. But anyway, the reason I say all that is I wrote this quote, and then at that point I email it over to the customer to check it out. I get a response within 5 minutes. Looks good, let me know what day you're ready to get started on this. So, text right back. We're looking at, next Monday, like we discussed when I was there, we'll be able to get right on in there because they're wanting to get the house on the market, in a couple of weeks. So we can be there Monday. We should complete by Tuesday night, and we'll be out of your hair. So just let me know when you want us to come by, and we'll pick up a deposit check and get this show on the road. Okay, so I go over and collect a deposit check, and it kind of turns into a whole nother estimate for painting the house and a bunch of other stuff. So no problem, I'll get an estimate written for all that, and then at the very end mentions I'll have the deposit check for you Monday morning when you come to start. Now that usually means to me that things aren't going to go well on Monday. I'm sure a lot of you guys have your little tells too that you could tell if something's not going the way you think that it should. So I show up on Monday and we go in to start the job. He shows up about an hour later, so we've already, taken countertops out. We're moving along. Now, to justify that, the reason is that we met and we have an actual signed contract. He has signed a paper version of the contract. So I'm not worried about the legal side of it. We're good to go. So we've already started demoing and everything. We've worked a little over an hour. He shows up and he says, well, he's actually got to run to the bank before he writes me a check. He'll be right back. He'll be gone about 20 minutes. Now, as he goes out the front door, he says he'll be right back with a certain amount of money. Now, the amount of money that he says he's coming back with is roughly half of what the deposit is for this job. But he's gone before I could even get down the stairs. So immediately I'm on the phone with him, within about 5 minutes. I thought about it. I pulled the estimate back up and looked. And I was like, what in the world is he thinking? So I called him. I said, I think we probably have got a little misunderstanding here. I said, you need to pull out your contract and take another look at what your deposit amount needs to be if you're going to get that amount of money. So he pulls it out right there in his truck, and he's like, I'll be right back. Runs right back. Now, at this point, I'm expecting we're off the job, because what has happened is on joist, if you notice, when you get to the bottom end of a quote with joist, this is what you have. If you can see this, you have a subtotal, you have your local tax line right there, and then you have a total job cost, and then under that is your 50% deposit, if that's the percentage you use. I'm sure different people use different percentages. So this is this actual job here that I'm showing you guys. The job total was $34,1208. The deposit due was $1706. So when he goes out the door and says he's headed to get about $850, I know something's wrong, because my material for this job is more than $850. So anyway, he gets back to the house, we pull this out, and we go over what mistake was made. Now I have a signed contract right there. I blacked out names, but I have a signed contract with what I'm supposed to do. So how are you supposed to handle this? And I'm thinking, I went ahead and shut my helpers down, told them just wait, let's just figure out what's going on. So he gets back, comes in, and I said, you know what? No hard feelings. We're just going to close down this job, and don't worry about that hour and a half, 2 hours of demo we did. It's already all opened up for you. Whoever you have put the countertops on can just put them on. It's no problem. So we'll just call it even, and let's still be friends. Well, he stands there and he thinks about that for a minute, and then he says, you know what? You're already here. Let's see what we can do. He said, how much of this can you do for the $1,750? So we completely renegotiate the scope of the job, literally right on the back of the estimate right here, to what I'm willing to do and able to do for half the price. So instead of negotiating my price, we negotiated the scope of the job. And this is something we've mentioned on some other videos before. In order to get what you're worth and be able to pay your bills and run a profitable business, you have to negotiate based on scope of work and not the price of the job, your hourly rate, anything like that, whatever you charge. So you work the job down until it fits the customer's budget, changing out types of materials. Maybe you don't need a $300 toilet. Maybe you can get by with a $180 toilet. What about that sink faucet you wanted that was all bronze and everything else? Can you get by with something different that's maybe $100 cheaper? You can rework a quote to where you still get paid for the job. We ended up completing this entire job. We did our half of it. And when we finished, came back the next day to collect the final check. And this is how this all plays out. After we reduce the scope, imagine that he has thought somehow that he's doing this entire job for this price, and now we're going to do half of it for the price that he thought the whole job was. But we remained friends through the whole thing, and as we completed this, he loved the work so much that he went ahead and scheduled almost the entire rest of the quote to be done, as well as added kitchen work and everything else right on the spot when he paid. Now, as I'm leaving, he mentions, after he pays extremely well, extremely good customer now. So as I'm leaving, he says, well, did you get me that quote for painting the house? And I said, well, sir, honestly, after the way this went, I assumed that you wouldn't need that quote. And he said, well, how much was it? And I gave him my price. And he says, I have other quotes that are cheaper than that, but the level of work and the nice way that you left my house, where I don't have to worry about coming behind you. He said, I've been buying and selling houses for the last several years, and of all the contractors I've used, y'all are the first one that I didn't have to do anything and didn't have to call you back for something, even on a small job like this. Your work is beautiful. Let's do the painting. So what do you think of that, guys? So this little job that ended up getting whittled down to $1,750 ended up having an additional $1,000 in this of things that were in this quote added back into this quote after we finished because of the way we performed the work. He recognized the value that was added by using a real professional group of guys to get this done, as well as added a paint job that was more than the entire original quote for this. So a little job that ended up looking like it might be a nightmare, the way it was handled and treating the customer with respect and being completely upfront and honest about everything at the moment it happened. And yes, from a legal standpoint, I have a signed contract to do that work. If I had held to that, yes, I would have got my $3,400. I would have done all that work. But I would have never gotten used again. So by handling this properly, I have a customer now that truly feels like another one of those referrals that will be for life. And this person knows a lot of people. So it's wonderful when you can leverage these customers into lifelong customers that also send you unlimited referrals. And we have a good referral video up too. I'm not sure if I'll post it before or after this one, but this job is actually current, real time, in progress right now, and I thought you guys might be interested in a little snip of what's going on over here. Thank y'all for watching. Check out some more videos on the channel and see what you think. I'm interested in your opinion of how I handled all this and how this went. Hopefully y'all are having a really good month in your business to close out 2020. I think we can finish it really strong. Even with the situations that are going on everywhere, it seems like people are still getting projects done. See y'all on the next one.